We all know that we should be networking more and that it's key to a shorter and more effective job search, but it doesn't come naturally to everyone. You might be thinking, what do I say? How do I avoid looking desperate or needy? How do I make sure that it's not a colossal waste of time and energy? And where do I find these people? If this is you, you've made it to the right video. And I happen to be teaching an entire class on networking for introverts coming up soon, which I'll link below. But in this quick training, I'm going to focus on that last question, which is where do I find the right people to network with in my job search? But first, hello and welcome. I'm Kristen Zavo, a certified career coach, helping high achievers to land and thrive in their dream roles. Before I started coaching full-time, I spent over 15 years in traditional corporate roles, including time in finance, marketing, and strategy. I'm also the author of the best-selling book, Job Joy, Your Guide to Success, Meaning, and Happiness in Your Career, and my work has been featured in publications like Business Insider, Yahoo News, CBS News, and more. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all my job search and career advice videos. We're going to get to a top 10 list of all the places you can find the best networking contacts that will lead to your next role. And first, I want to share a little of my own experience to really bring to life what could just seem like theory or a list of places to go to. But even before we get into that, I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, how did you find your last job? As I mentioned, before I launched my career coaching practice full-time, I had a whole slew of traditional corporate jobs. I started in investment banking, then I did financial consulting for nearly a decade, and then I changed careers again to do marketing strategy and customer experience for a billion-dollar retail brand. Each time I found a new job, pivoted, or completely changed careers, the key to making these moves was the same. Yes, it took hard work even before I got to the networking stage. I had to be clear on what I wanted to do next. I had to learn to position myself in such a way as to be an obvious fit to a hiring manager, even if, especially when my experience was not traditional. But without the right connections, all that personal branding would be for naught. Because if the right people don't know who you are, if the right people don't believe in you, you will simply not get the offer or the job. This is especially true the higher up the corporate ladder you climb. And if you're not convinced, here are a few sobering stats. According to this recent Fast Company article and numerous other studies, about 75% of online applications are never even seen by a human being. And yet, this is where most candidates are spending the majority of their job search time. While, yes, it's important to learn how to create an ATS-friendly resume, the real ticket to the front of the line of candidates is in networking and relationships. You may have heard the statistic that anywhere from 60 to 85% of jobs are found through networking. While these stats might be overinflated, the fact is that the higher up you move in your career, the more important it is to have a connection on the inside or a personal reference. This is an instant way to establish trust, and it also helps you learn about and get a head start on opportunities that haven't even been posted yet. Personally, I've experienced this where at my last corporate job, I had conversations about and interviewed for a job for months before it was actually available and actually posted. And I'm not the only one. This is more common than you might think. According to CNBC, 70% of all jobs are never posted publicly, and 80% are filled through personal connections. And just because a job is posted doesn't mean it's available. According to this CBS article and other resources like this one from Comp News, as many as a third of posted roles are fake, meaning they are posted by organizations without a serious intent to fill. There are many reasons for this. It could be like in my case, where they had already made an offer, or maybe they're planning on hiring an internal candidate. Maybe they're testing the market, building a bench, or fulfilling some legal requirement. I don't tell you this to scare you, but I tell you to impart upon you the value of networking as a key part of your job search strategy. If you're worried that you don't have a network, I have a personal fact that might surprise you and that I hope inspires you. That is that each time I landed a new job post-grad school, it came through a person whom I did not know at the beginning of my search. The same is true for many of my clients who either moved to new locations or completely changed careers, rendering their current network useless, but who were able to build relationships in real time that led to new jobs in a matter of months. What this shows is that no matter your network now, no matter how small it is, or if you're making a big career change, no matter how few people you know in your new field, it is absolutely possible to build a network that will lead to you landing your next job in a relatively short period of time. By the way, if you are thinking about changing careers, be sure to check out my 4-step career change formula after you watch this video. Okay, as promised, first I want to bring this to life, not just make this all about fairy, and I'm going to share a little behind the scenes and tell you exactly who led to each of my new jobs, where I found them, and then we'll sum it up with a top 10 list that you can take with you to determine your networking strategy. After I graduated with my MBA in finance, I was teaching classes for GMAT and other graduate level entrance exams while I was job searching. A student in my class who worked for Bank of America made an introduction and got my foot in the door, which led to a job in portfolio management under the investment banking division. Fast forward a little bit, when I was looking to pivot into something that had a different type of challenge, and I connected with a speaker at a real estate conference that I had gone to for work. He was a consultant that specialized in supporting companies navigate and come through Chapter 11s. My cold outreach to him after the conference led to interviews and ultimately my first job in consulting. By the time I was ready for a change again, I had been active in groups and associations relevant to my field, one of them being the Association for Insolvency and Restructuring Advisors. I went through the physical directory. This was before I was on LinkedIn. I had a physical book, and I went through the directory and emailed and called people who worked at my target firms, introducing myself and asking for a conversation. One of those conversations led to an offer from a firm where I would spend the next 7+ years. After nearly a decade in the consulting space, I wanted to do something completely different again, as in a complete 180. Instead of focusing on finance and troubled companies, I thought it would be fun to do marketing strategy and customer experience for healthy organizations in the space of fashion and beauty. This was my biggest career change yet, and I had plenty of well-meaning folks tell me it would be impossible to make this move without starting from the bottom. But I got clear on what I wanted. I dialed in my story and my personal branding, and you guessed it, leveraged my network to find and land the role. This time it came from a person I met at a large retail conference, the National Retail Federation event at the Javits Center in New York City. Funny enough, when I sat down next to the person who would lead to my next job, I complained about the less than stellar networking opportunities at the event. We got to talking, and as it turned out, he had recently moved from the strategy group at a big company, and now they were looking for someone else to fill the role, even though it hadn't been posted yet. That simple, casual conversation led me to meeting my future hiring manager a couple months later, and then being brought in for interviews and offered the job, all before it was even posted online. I hope sharing my specific experience helps you to see how, when you're clear about your job, when you can clearly articulate and communicate your value and then take action, that the connections you need to make will happen both on purpose and organically. By the way, if all the other job search and personal branding pieces feel overwhelming to you, I teach this all in a step-by-step format in my signature job search program called Find Your Job Joy. I'll put a link below in case it's of interest. And for those of you who just want a list of places to network, here are 10 that I recommend that have worked both for me and my clients. Number 1, industry events and conferences. 2, industry associations. Many times they have events that are both online and in person, and you can use their directories as well. Number 3, special interest groups. Think women's business groups, even something that's not related to your profession, like a running group. Number 4, volunteering, teaching, side hustle connections. Number 5, online networking spaces like LinkedIn. Number 6, check out your alumni groups. Number 7, look at current and former colleagues, customers, vendors. Number 8, you can look at job fairs. Even at higher levels, I've had clients who landed jobs or made connections from job fairs. Number 9, social media. You could think about even posting to your network on Facebook, for example. Number 10, looking at connecting with recruiters who specialize in your field. And then a bonus one, which many times we often overlook, talking to family and friends. The key here, though, is not just to say, hey, I want a job, can you help? But to be very clear on the jobs you're looking at, the industries, and the types of companies. This makes it easier for the people that you connect with to help you. Thanks for watching until the end. Let's keep adding to this list. If there are any ideas that I did not mention in today's video, add it to the comments below. And as always, I want to hear from you. Tell me your top takeaway as well as any other topics you'd like me to cover in future trainings. I'll see you next time.